Hello everyone, back to you in today's first video, doing JMA Friday for today's first video. As was on Friday, we're going to have a look at the weather for the month ahead, and this is going to take us into the middle of June. So, we're heading into the start of the summer now with our month ahead look ahead to meteorological summer. Anyway, which is officially from the 1st of June to the 31st of August. Of course, those definitions are questionable, really. It's just to help define the statistics. When you come to divvy up all the numbers, it's helpful if you've got a specific start and end point for any given season, but the weather doesn't really hold to those rules, so you can get summer-like weather well before the official start of summer. You can also get summer-like weather well after the official end of summer in September and October. But in any case, we're heading into the start of meteorological summer with this update. So we'll see what the JMA CFS V2 models have got to say in terms of the weather for the next month. Later on today, this afternoon, we'll have a look at weather next week to 10 days. And then this evening, we've got the third update for those festivals we've been looking at over the late spring bank holiday weekend. But starting us all off is going to be JMA Friday. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly flowchart for the Northern Hemisphere from the pole view down. That's the North Pole of the Northern Hemisphere just there, middle latitudes of the Northern Hemisphere around there. So blue is extrapolating to low pressure, and yellow, orange and red extrapolating to high pressure. These are broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period will take us from today, the 18th through to the 25th of May. And it looks pretty good. We've got a large area of above average height centred over Scandinavia and stretching through the UK and into the Atlantic as well. We've got below average heights, which is low pressure out to the northwest. That's where the jet stream is. Quite a strong jet going in that sort of direction. But essentially, we are under that ridge of high pressure, so a lot of dry weather would be expected there. And with high pressure centred through and to the east of the country, fairly warm as well. Then we go through to week 2. This one takes us from the 25th of May through to the 1st of June. And we have above average heights again, centering very close to the UK from the Atlantic, going to our east, below average heights out to the northwest. The jet stream therefore is up to our north, going in that sort of direction. So again, we would have a lot of dry and warm weather there as we close out May. What would be a very memorable May, I think, with significantly warmer than average temperature and also very dry as well. So it would be a very warm and dry May. We would close out the month on a warm and dry note. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, which takes us from the 1st through to the 15th of June. So going through the first half of June, we look like this. Still a signal for above average heights to be a little bit to our west now, with below average heights up here. And then also got some below average heights down to our south as well. Remember, this is a 2-weekly anomaly, so this might be transitional. And reading between the lines, the way we see that area of above average heights just to our west, I suspect what it's doing is that maybe in week 3 is continuing that high pressure domination that we have in weeks 1 and 2. And then possibly by week 4, it's moving that high pressure away to our west, maybe turning things a little bit cooler, a little bit more unsettled. That's just my interpretation of it. That might be off. It might not be correct, but that's how I would interpret that 2-weekly anomaly. You always have a weaker anomaly for weeks 3 and 4, the 2-week anomaly, because very often it is encompassing a transitional sort of period. But overall, you have to say, pretty good signals even going out into the early part of June. Let's have a look at the temperature and precipitation anomalies that go with those heights. So we'll look at the tropical and mid-latitude view. The British Isles is just here in the top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. A reminder of the week 1 500 millibar height anomaly with the above average heights extending from the Atlantic into the UK and over to our east and northeast as well. Scandinavia is up here. You can't see Scandinavia on this view We just looked at it from a North Pole view down, so we don't need to see it again. But Scandinavia's up there, and sort of Greenland is around there. Iceland is somewhere in between. So you've got that big ridge building through the Atlantic into the UK and into Europe as well. What does that mean for temperatures? Well, temperature anomalies in the week ahead from the 18th to 25th coming out. Generally warmer than average, particularly so through eastern parts of the country, looking nice and warm across many central parts of Europe as well. The precipitation anomaly maybe a little bit unsettled, surprisingly so, for the north. It's a little bit wetter than average. So England and Wales is a little bit drier than average. Then we go through to week 2, which is the 25th of May through to the 1st of June, with the above average heights again, centering very close to the UK. Temperature anomalies are coming out a little bit warmer than average, maybe not quite as warm as you might expect given the pattern. Perhaps a little bit on the lowly side there, given the ridge is centred over top of the country, but still seems to be a little bit warmer than average, probably undercooked given the pattern, I would have thought. Precipitation anomalies are coming out drier than average. So to the end of May, it's all looking pretty good. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, where the signal is weakening, but we do still have a weak area of above average heights centred just to our west. Temperature anomalies are coming out average to a little bit warmer than average again, so it looks like a fairly warmish month coming up, and over across many parts of Europe also coming out warmer than average there as well. The precipitation anomaly for weeks 3 and 4, that is coming out average to drier than average. So generally a warm and dry scene going into the start of June with the JMA. Let's have a look at CFS V2 and see how that compares. So again, these are 500 millibar heights. I broke it down into weekly periods. The first week period will take us from this week, from today actually, the 18th through to the 24th of May. Again, red, orange, yellow, extrapolating to high pressure, greens and blues to low pressure. Perfect agreement between the two models for the week ahead. We've got this area of above average height centred over Scandinavia, but also building down into the UK and through the Atlantic as well, which leaves the below average heights of low pressure up to the northwest. That leaves us with jet stream going up there. So we're on the warm side of the jet, we're close to that ridge of high pressure. Again, you'd expect a lot of dry, fine and warm weather in the week ahead. We go through to week 2. This takes us from the 25th through to the 31st of May, and look at this again, perfect agreement between the two models. We've got the above average heights centred almost over top of the UK, also backs out in towards Scandinavia as well. Below average heights push well away from us up towards Greenland and the eastern side of Canada. So the jet stream is up there. We're on the warm side of the jet, close to this ridge. It means that we probably have another warm and dry week for the final week of May, rounding off what will be a well-remembered classic warm and dry May. What happens as we go through to June? Well, this is week 3. This is the 1st through to the 7th of June, and no sign of a deterioration at this point. We've still got above average heights centred over and just a little bit to the north of the country. The wind is in from the east. We've got these below average heights down here, probably bringing unseasonably unsettled weather to Spain and Portugal, but for us it's still looking possibly very warm by this point. We're into early June, so I would suggest this is maybe hinting at a very warm, if not hot, weather to start June. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 8th through to the 14th of June. And we still have that broad pattern of the high pressure over and just a little bit to the east and northeast of the British Isles. Below average heights centering over Spain. It is looking a little bit weaker with the pressure, so it is possible, but at this point we would be trying to bring up a thundery breakdown from the south. But essentially it is still that high pressure that's dominating, so it's still very warm, if not hot, with those east-southeasterly winds maintaining dry, very warm to hot conditions quite possibly. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies then from the CFS V2. This is for week 1 temperature anomaly. This is taking us from the 18th to 24th of May, coming out warmer than average across many parts of the British Isles, significantly so for quite a few places. Week 2 temperature anomalies from the 25th to 31st of May, also coming out warmer than average, very warm, hot across many parts of Europe as well. A real heat wave going on there. Week 3 temperature anomalies from the 1st through to the 7th of June. The first week of June looks very warm, possibly hot across the UK. Most parts of Europe coming out very warm, possibly hot for the start of June as well. And these very warm conditions being maintained as we go through to week 4, which is the 8th to the 14th of June. Very warm to hot across many parts of Europe as well. Notice much cooler. These are anomalies to average. Bear that in mind. Anomalies to average looking much cooler for Spain and Portugal. So in the middle of June, in central Spain, it's still going to be very hot, even if the temperature anomaly is around sort of 2 to 3 degrees below average. It will still be very warm through central parts of Spain. But compared to average, it does look as though southern Europe is significantly cooler, and it's really northern and central Europe, including the British Isles, but it's significantly warm, if not hot, through this early part of June. So possibly the summer of 2018 is going to get off to a heat wave if this is right. Temperature, precipitation anomalies, I should say, finally. Week 1 from the 18th to 24th of May, coming out substantially drier than average for the UK and the island too. Week 2 precipitation anomalies are coming out drier than average as well. Week 3 precipitation anomalies coming out significantly drier than average. And what about week 4, rounding it all off? Well, now look at this. It possibly hints at that thundery breakdown I was talking about, because now the precipitation anomaly is going closer to average, and notice many central parts of Europe are going wetter than average. So that could be a real thundery breakdown going on there through the second week of June, or developing, perhaps I should say, through the second week of June. After what could be quite a hot start to June, we may go in to a real thundery spell through that second week. The hints are possibly there to do that, but bear in mind that's at the end of all of this. It's week 4, so it's the most unreliable part. Coming back to the more reliable time frame, which is the rest of May, it looks like we're in for a continuation of a lot of dry and warm weather coming up. So this is shaping up to be a really classic May, but it will be long remembered, I think, as being a very warm and also very dry month for most parts of the country. It looks as though these conditions could extend into June, and in fact we may begin June, we may begin the summer on a hot note, a hot start to June, chance of a heat wave, possibly going thundery as we get through into the second week. Will that be kind of like just a temporary blip and we go back into those hot conditions? Will that be the start of a deterioration in the summer pattern? Sometimes when you get these very warm and dry early summers, what can happen is that it's all front loaded, the heat is all in the front part of summer, and then you kind of deteriorate the pattern through the summer. So will that happen if you get that thundery breakdown in the second week of June? Too early to say. Of course, Gazzo's summer forecast will be released a week on Sunday. We've got the final analogues update coming up for you for the summer this Sunday, and then we'll have one last season, one roundup next weekend, the last weekend of May, and then we'll have that summer forecast on the 27th of May, and I think it'll be quite an interesting one. I suspect it will bring in quite a lot of interest. Also over the weekend, I should just say, talking about the CFS, got the CFS 6 forecast coming up tomorrow. We'll have a weekend forecast as well. Tomorrow, we'll have more for the bank holiday weekend, of course. Tomorrow, another update for that. Sunday, we've got Gazzo's Sunday roundup, as well as those summer analogues. And on Sunday, we're going to have a look at the long-range ECMWF and Meteo France seasonal models. So it's all going to be happening over the weekend. Keep coming back to the website for all of the updates. But as far as JMA Friday is concerned, this is another really classic update, but I'm sure a lot of you are going to remember. It looks like we might start June on a hot note. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.